Hello, Mr. Johnson.
Yes,
For your patience on that.
no problem.
Okay, so I have our police department on my backline definitely doing some digging on what is going on with this. And
Yeah,
just a little insight. Basically, like Ally is showing as a lead holder, but then I see that we got all of that taken care of. But
yeah.
for some reason, we're still having some issues getting the title itself. If you don't mind, can you put you back on just
Well,
brief hold?
I've got a at unfortunately I've got a 1 o'clock Zoom call that I'm hosting, so I can stay on hold for a minute, but
Yeah,
I'm not sure if you'll be able to get the answer in the next couple of minutes. One thing I do need, the bigger issue is I am selling the car and I need some solution to it.
right, right, definitely understand.
Yeah,
Yes, that's exactly what my, main question was like, what should his next step be in this? Like, are we
yeah.
going to be able to get it for him? Like, is it going to be like a duplicate because it needs to be requested? Like, that's definitely what I'm trying to figure out as well.
Is there a way for us to reconnect after I get off the Zoom meeting, or because I hate to have to pick up with somebody brand new and give them new information.
Yeah, right, I definitely understand. Well, see.
Dr. J.
Yes, sir. How are you, Doc?
Hey man, I'm up and running in the land of the living here.
Yes, sir. And I see you ready to celebrate tonight.
Oh, I'm being proactive here. I got mixed emotions about it though, because my basketball love want to see more games.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
But if it's more games, I don't know how that's gonna go. So
yeah.
so let's finish the job while
Yeah. Yeah. If you all want to have a scrimmage game, you can do that afterwards. But
yeah. But I just fell in love with sports being back on. But I guess it's football season, so I can shift. But
yeah,
I got that 80-inch sitting up there on the wall, and enjoy taking a look at it. And then my guy came and got things together for me. So that's like a little IMAX theater in there.
Oh
with
man,
sound bar and stuff. So
man.
And I haven't gotten my furniture, my sectional. It's gonna be delivered the 15th. We ordered this stuff back in August, and that's how much of a delay they've had with COVID.
Yeah.
15th.
Yeah.
So what I do, I take one of my lawn chairs in there. That's it right there. So.
But I'll tell you one thing, man. I may have to ask your guy to come do some work for me, man.
Oh man, he's a bad man. Yeah, he put that sound bar up yesterday, and it's one of those Samsung Harman Kardon ones. Oh man, I got a Bose one in my great room, and I thought that one was phenomenal.
Yeah,
Doc, this one here, and then he tried to come, because he had it in the box and stuff, and it's a $500 sound bar.
Wow.
I said, my man, I got $150.
Oh, your negotiation skills are on par.
I said, man, you killing me, man. He said, you killing me. I said, man, I ain't trying to kill you, but I'm just telling you what I got.
Yes.
Now you can put it back in your truck, and I'll go get one from Walmart.
Yeah. But it's gonna be $150.
But it's a legit $500 for that one. That's the state of the art one.
Wow. Yes, that's what and it's surround sound. It's just not sound coming from the front of the TV.
It's the bar goes under. I don't use my TV volume. I push it over to it's called optical. I push it over to optical, so my sound bar is there. Yeah. And then I got a subwoofer that's on the floor that the bass comes from.
Oh, there we go.
So we go. Yeah, it's mean and vicious, man.
Yeah, well, I something tells me I may find myself out your way one day just to, catch a game. I might just be out in the neighborhood.
I think so.
Hey, Aaron. I'm coming over to watch the game tonight. You got all that going on.
Let's do it. You gotta bring your lawn chair though, Kim, because my furniture is not in there yet. But yeah, bring it on. I shoot you the address. Yeah, you got wine over there anyway.
Well, I will tell you one thing, sir. Your people are coming in strong. We're at looks like 57 so far.
Oh, that's good. Okay, and I'll call myself killing time to allow them an opportunity to come. I don't know whose computer, because I sent them all the link. Yes, sir. And so that's good. I checked mine. I've been on since about 12:50, but I had to wait obviously till you got on. Just wanted to see, because sometimes the things that NHA don't really endorse, right? They block it. So I wanted to make sure that this Zoom code was that we're free to do it on here, because I know when I was at home one time I tried to do a Zoom and it was blocked by NHA's firewall.
Yeah, their firewall is pretty brutal. I remember when we tried to roll out the software at the last PD, and it blocked everybody's email address until we got it accepted. But this is working fine. Your folk are not only here, they're here timely, and everybody who listening, y'all need to understand that I do this nationally, and I'm telling you, your team is showing up, and they showing up on time.
that's the BG way.
Yeah, man. So you guys are getting
and they showing up on time because they want to get out of here on time.
All right.
That's the other side of it.
There's some motivation to this. It is, after all, it is a Friday. It is a Friday.
Right. Yeah. So they're ready to go.
Well, you blow the horn, and I'm ready. So, because I agree with you, I think that's probably what everyone's motivation is, or ultimate goal is: get the information, but also be able to rock and roll and start enjoying their Friday. So okay. I can jump right in and
yeah, it's your show. We've had a great morning of work and good lunch here. So right. Shout out to NHA for making sure, and Miss Lisa for making sure everything was in order with our breakfast and lunch. So told them at 1:00 be ready to rock and roll, and here we are. So you can take it away. It's short. Because we have a few new staff members.
Sure. Yeah. Do your thing,
Coach Johnson. We got a few new staff members, so I just want to present. I want to introduce to our new staff members. But to present, or should I say represent, to the the current staff members, the ones who've been around, who's familiar with your training, your style, and all that kind of stuff. Obviously, we're doing this in the virtual world now, but will you all help me to bring up Mr. This is our engagement coach, Coach Carlos Johnson. Just by giving him. A round of applause, thumbs up. We know he's exciting. We know he's innovative and creative. So we're going to give him the floor at this point.
All right. All right. Well, hey, everybody, it is good to be with you all. Who's the new people to the team? Can you put something in the chat? Just throw your hand up so I can recognize you real quick. Who's the new people? I see a few familiar faces. I see Mariah, Miss Grappin. Good to see you.
How about this, Doc? How about if our new staff members would just unmute for a quick second and just to tell them your name and then what your position is.
Yes, sir.
I'm new. I'm Mrs. Bosco. I'm the art teacher here this year, and I'm excited to be here.
Well, welcome, Miss Bosco. Miss Woods, how are you?
Good. How are you?
Good. Go ahead. Somebody else was. Who else do we have new to the team this year?
I'm new. I'm the 6'8" ABSS.
Yes. Well, welcome. And who is this? I didn't catch your name. I'm sorry.
Jessica.
Nice to meet you and welcome, Jessica. I wish I could be with you all, but it's good to see you all this way. Mark, sir, how are you?
Yeah. I'm good. Outstanding here for Charter Academy. Always.
Depends which mark you're looking for here.
We got about 17 marks.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Mark Zyber. Yes, sir. Just saying hello. Now, who else do we have new? I'm sorry. Every once in a while, I catch a face that I recognize, so I just say hello. Who else do we have new?
I'm Ranjini Warrior, and I'm one of the special ed teachers for the middle school.
Yes, well, welcome. Good to meet you. Who else do we have?
Hi, I'm Claire. I'm the 6'8" social studies teacher.
Oh, Claire, you and I will be working together because I probably will have some of your boys in the Future Man program. Miss Lindsay, how are you? Good to see you. Did I catch you snacking? I'm sorry. Good to see you.
You did. That's okay. I was eating my Doritos from lunch.
That's all right. Well, good to see you all here. Well, anybody new that I missed? Because I do want to jump into this because time is going to run real fast. Did I miss anyone new?
I'm Miss Johnson. I'm a parent in second grade.
Second grade, and you are who?
Miss Johnson.
Oh, another Miss Johnson. There we go. There we go. Good to meet you, Miss Johnson. Good to meet you. All right, anybody else? All right, hearing none, I am going to assume that we have all greeted each other. So let's get this party started. I do want to say thank you all for inviting me again, Mr. Williams, for having me out with the team. I really wish I was back in the room with you all. Those of you all who know and have seen me train, you know that I love what I do, and I like to move around and meet people and talk with folk. But we're in a different world now. We're in our new normal. So this is what our new normal is, and I will be as engaging as I possibly can in Zoom. So thanks for having me again, and let's jump right into what we're going to be doing today. And let me clear. So I think I've got everybody in. I want to make sure. Nope, we still got a couple people waiting. Let me get them in. All right, so while we're there, let's get just to today's training and topics in the agenda, and I'll go through this as quick as we can. So today we'll be talking about strategies for building a culture of engagement, but we'll also be talking about, I'm going to break this up in two parts. Part one is going to be the science of engagement. Some of this will be a reminder of what we talked about before, maybe some new information. And then part two, I certainly want us to end up with the strategies. Uh-oh, looks like I got a word. I know one of my English teachers saw it already. That should be the strategies of engagement. That'll be part two. So we'll jump into it. We want to end on that note, the strategies of it. The science will be, since we're in a short session, I won't spend a lot of time on that, but I want to make sure I leave you all with at least one strategy, depending on how much time we have. Just some quick housekeeping things. If I say something you like, you have the right to say the following in the chat. Just let's stay engaged, and that's hoorah, preach, brother, or say that. Give me one of those in the chat. I need to know that you're out there. I need to know that we're all together, even though we're doing this in a Zoom way. We can still be engaging and interactive. The same things that we want our children to be able to do when we're teaching them online is the same thing that we should be able to do. So give me some feedback. Give me some encouragement also by just saying either hoorah, preach, brother, or say that in the chat. Another housekeeping piece is if I say something that you don't like, you have the right to remain silent and nothing will be held against me. How about that? Next thing is for the next 90 minutes, there's going to be a focus on the task, but also on the team. Again, as we teach our classes and what we expect out of our students is that they would be in attendance, that they would be attentive, and that they would also be engaging. They would give us some feedback. So we adults, we'll do the same thing. For these next 90 minutes, I would ask you to turn off the TVs, turn off the phones, turn away from the dog, whatever we have at home, or if you're at the school building, put the papers that you're grading down, come off another laptop. I know as adults, that's what we tend to do. So, but I would ask that you would respect our time together as a team, and let's focus together. The last thing, and this is just as important as the other things we talked about, is I'm accepting donations for some new golf clubs. And if you want to support me, you can go to Buy Carlos Johnson, Coach Carlos New Golf Clubs.tv and give as much as you want to. Now, I'm only kidding, guys. But if you want to buy me some new golf clubs, I'll take it. But, for those of you all who do know me, that's my favorite pastime, and that's what I will continue to do. Disclaimer and a warning. We will examine some personal, social, and professional mindsets, and the material is designed to be provocative. I design all my material to inject some level of discomfort, because discomfort is key for change. If you're comfortable, you're not changing. So this material is designed to be provocative and to force some discomfort, more importantly, some cognitive dissonance. What you believe sometimes you need to be able to accept new information. So this information is designed such. All right, this will be a time, well, it may be difficult for those who, one of my good brothers, Dr. Shiraki Holly says, you might be offensive. This means that there are some folk who are very sensitive and easily offended. Well, those who are like that, the 60 or 70 of you all who are here with us today, if you're one of those often sensitive people who are easily sensitive and overly sensitive and easily offended, you're going to have some fun today. All right. Now, I always say, and it's really a question sometime, but not anymore. Education is driving us all crazy. Can I get a hoorah in the chat? Can I get an amen? Can I get a preach, brother? Can I get a say that? Because education right now is crazy. We are in a new space. It's crazy to the point that one day you have the national scientists telling us that they're urging in-person school for elementary kids, citing equity concerns. The next day, we've got more districts planning for all online learning. I'm working with districts now that are going through the hybrid process. I think you guys may be doing that also. I mean, right now, it is an interesting time, to say the least. And we also have parents who are confused. They don't know if we're starting school, if we're halfway in. I mean, parents right now are trying to understand this new dynamic also. So we're in a new place together. But as I always remind you, and I show this whenever we're together, remember what Jim Collins taught us in Good to Great. And what he taught us there is that there were companies who embraced the Stockdale paradox, that we must maintain an unwavering faith that we can and we will prevail in the end, regardless of the difficulties. And at the same time, have the discipline to confront the brutal facts and the beautiful facts of your current reality. I asked you this the last time we were together, and I'm going to ask you the same question again. Let me come over here and let this, there's another person waiting. Let me let them in. So I asked this question. What are some of the brutal facts of online learning? Talk to me. You got to unmic yourself, put it in the chat. What are some of the brutal facts that you guys have learned already in online learning? Come on, let's be interactive. Let's be engaging. Unmute yourself. What have you learned so far?
I'll jump in. I say one of the brutal facts is that parents believe that they're actually homeschooling. You know, and they've said it to several of my teachers and staff members that, you know, I didn't sign up to be a teacher. This homeschooling stuff is hard. And we got to have a conversation about that, because not one of them created lesson plans. They're not creating assessments. And so you have to have that conversation with them, really, without saying it. But what I want to say is what you're doing is you're parenting. But since I don't want to say it that way, I say it different ways. So that's one of the brutal facts, because that's the biggest misconception of online learning, is that they think that they're homeschooling.
That's right. Good point. Very good point.
I want to jump in for a moment. What I find the brutal reality is that it's very stressful for the working family. My kids are at home, although I do have the option of bringing them with me, but they're at home. And my daughter, my 9-year-old, calls me at least crying because she can't find the link. She can't do this. She can't do that. And it's stressing me the hell out. Yeah.
So it's stressful for you as a parent and as a teacher. You getting it on both ends.
Right.
Yeah. Who else? Give me one more. Give me some brutal facts of online learning.
It is mind-boggling to me that our students are such poor natural problem solvers, and like it really hit me that I am not doing a good enough job equipping them to be problem solvers, not just reading at grade level, but solving their own problems. Miss G, I don't know what this word means. Okay, Google it. You know, and that never came to their thought, was to Google something that they don't understand or to find it out for themselves. They're so reliant on me as the teacher. And that's a problem that I have in part created.
Wow. Now, who is this that just said that?
Grappin, Mariah.
Oh, yes, yes. Oh man, that is a powerful point. We're talking, what you're really talking about in a nutshell is critical thinking skills.
Yes.
This, you know, what do you do? I come across this so much, and not only working in the classroom, but just working with young people as I do in the community. Just figure it out. Think through it. And nowadays, our children have to be able to not just regurgitate information. They've got to have some critical thinking skills. Come on, give us one more. What else have we found out in this new era?
I can tell you that our middle school students, I found they have younger siblings that they're taking care of while they're still trying to learn online. So they're going back and forth. They got a lot of responsibility at home.
Yeah, that's powerful. And I mean, we really don't know the true effect on the households now, because all parents don't have the convenience of working from home. I dare say that there are homes in your area that are like homes all over this country, where parents having to make the difficult choice to lock the doors, leave the kids home, and give them instructions on how to behave while they're at work. Very, very, very interesting piece. All right, so let's move to the next one. What has been some of the beautiful facts of online learning? What has come out of this that you all said, wow, this is pretty cool. This works. This was
it works for me.
silver lining.
When I have kids in class, I'm still looking for that mute button. I can find it online, but not in class.
A mute button, I love it. we may have one of those in the classroom when they return. What else? What else would you guys add?
What I found beautiful about this is Kim, is that I get to wear jeans on the bottom with a nice top on top every day.
All right. Say the fashion is a whole lot easier now.
Right.
All right. I understand. I get it. All right. Mute buttons and jeans. What else have we found that's a silver lining with this process?
Right. One of the things that I have found, that no matter how incompetent I feel, every morning at 7:50 when I log on to my Google Meet, the students are popping in, 15, 20 students every single day, or with their camera. Hi, Miss Ford. Every single morning.
Yeah, I love it. I love it. And I got to share with you that I get that same feeling. I was sharing with Mr. Williams. I don't know how many of you all were here, but I was sharing with Aaron at that time. I was pleasantly surprised that at 12:55, 12:50, there were folk waiting for today's training. And I mean, as soon as 1 o'clock hit, you guys were there. And for me as a trainer, that feeds me. That gives me energy to know that people are ready and they're excited. So I'm right there with you. Let's take one more beautiful fact before we move on.
Hey, Doc, I got one, and this is really off of conversations with parents. One of the beautiful facts of this online learning for me is, and this was really a discovery, is that there are no lost assignments. You know, how kids create this excuse of why a teacher doesn't have something. Oh, I turned it in. I put it in the homework basket.
Wow.
Well, through online learning, there's no way an assignment can be lost.
Yeah.
Either the teacher has it or you didn't submit it.
That's right.
And we had to explain that a few times with parents, because they can go on there and just press the submit button the turn in button without attaching the necessary assignment that the teacher is required. So that's one of the real beauties to me.
Powerful. I will share, as we transition to the next slide, one of my observations, just not, you know, at your school. I don't know if you guys have experienced this, but I hope you have. But I'm experiencing this with districts all around the country, is that we are now, for me, it's a beautiful thing because of the space that I'm in and what I study. Engagement now is at an all-time high, whether we like it or not. Ms. Boatwright, you have to be engaged. Mr. Cross, you've got to be engaged. Ms. Sorensen, you've got to be engaged. Parents now, even the ones who prior to the pandemic we couldn't find, they now some kind of way have been dragged to the table. Would you all agree with me? Has that been your experience? So engagement, whether we like it or not, with our stakeholders is at an all-time high. I would even say that even those of us who are on the teaching side, who kind of shied away from engaging parents and students, we can no longer hide. We have to engage now. And my prayer is that after this has simmered down, as we return to whatever our normal is going to be, is that engagement, we won't lose all of this engagement, that parents now will realize, as Aaron, you said in the beginning, parents may be saying they're homeschooling, but they're not homeschooling. They are just now finally engaged. I'm hoping that these parents will now say, wow, I'm not going to do what I was doing before, but if these parents just ratchet it down halfway, they will be more engaged than they were before. Would you agree with me, Ms. Higgins? Yeah. I mean, they would be more engaged now if they just did half of what they're doing now. They will be engaged more than they were before the pandemic. And I would say, I hope we can take away from this pandemic some observations about our engagement styles ourselves, that we now can be a little bit more engaged than we were before the pandemic. That is what I hope that we don't lose across this nation, is that now we are engaged more than we ever have been. So let's rock and roll to the next slide, because I really want to get to the lessons. I'm going to share with you three categories of students that I know are in your building. These are broad strokes, but I know that they're in your building. And I'm going to ask this question to you. Are you prepared to teach and engage all of these students? One group of these students is what I call, let me move this out the way. One group of the students is what I call your cream of your culture crop. These are your kids they were your cream of your crop before the pandemic, and they're probably still your cream of the crop. The students who turn in their homework, who are always on time, whose grades reflect that. That percentage of kids who are intrinsically motivated just to get the work done. That's one crop of students. That second group of students is the core of your culture crop. That core student, this group of students, for whatever reason, Burton Glen Academy, the culture of that school is what they needed. And it's the best thing that could have happened to them. They're your core group of kids. Are you ready to engage them? Are you ready to teach them? Now, these first two crops, these first two core group of kids, everybody's ready to engage them. The cream of the crop, we're always ready to engage them. The core of the crop, we're ready to engage them because for whatever reason, we connect to them. This last group is what I hope that we're ready to teach and engage. And that's the crap of your culture crop. Now, I don't mean that they're crappy kids, not at all. What I'm saying is they're always in every school, there is a small or large group of kids whose life experiences has just put them in a bad scenario. And they come to you looking for an escape, looking for someone to pour into them, looking for someone to give them validation, give them credibility, give them hope. There's a group of students, and I hope you've identified them by now, who they're not in your cream, they're not your core, but they're the group of kids who they're catching all the crap. Are you ready to teach and engage all three types of these kids? And I know you are. I hope you are, because they need you to be that type of teacher. I always bring up this book right here. If you haven't read it, I hope that you do. It's called The One Thing. Gary Keller is the largest real estate owner in the world, and he's come up with this system. It's called The One Thing. I won't take you through it just because of time, but the next time we're together, I'm going to unpack it if I haven't already. He talks about extraordinary results are directly determined by how you narrow your focus, how you make things the priority continue to be the priority. He talks about when we have a huge success is when he narrowed his focus and concentrated on the one thing, and when his focus varied, so did his success. And I'm here to tell you that his research, not only did he prove it in real estate, but it is a principle that works in every field of life, even in your personal life. What I'm going to take you through is this one thing today. It's going to be our science and our strategy, and then we'll call it a day for Friday. But I hope you will stay with me on this one thing. In his book, he talks about a focus question. And his focus question is simply, what's the one thing that I can do such that by doing so makes everything easier or unnecessary? But for our purposes in the educational industry, I've switched it and said, what's the one thing I can do such that by doing so makes all learning easier or unnecessary? Well, I believe that other researchers, including myself, have found the answer to this question. The one thing that we all can do that's such that by doing this one thing makes all learning easier or unnecessary. Those of you all who have been with me before, you've seen this before. There's no evidence over 20 years of research that confirms higher performance is ever birthed out of a low relationship culture. Even if we're online, relationship and engagement is the one thing that changes everything. And in this short time, I'm going to give you more proof on why that's so true. I don't care how good you are within your content area. We cannot engage with these young folk. We're leaving performance on the table. What's clear in psychology today is the importance and the power of being connected to and valued by other human beings. And what I'm about to do now is give you two extreme examples that prove this fact. And I hope this audio, let me make sure that I've turned on the audio so that you guys can hear. Give me 1 second to make sure that that's right. I hate to play a video and that doesn't, in the video, the sound doesn't play. That wouldn't work. Let me stop sharing just for a second. And I want to make sure that our sound is on. All right, there we go. The sound would not have been on. So what I want to do is share with you two extreme examples on how engagement is the key. This first example, take a listen to the science here.
Babies this young are extremely responsive to the emotions and the reactivity and the social interaction that they get from the world around them. This is something that we started studying 30, 40 years ago, when people didn't think that infants could engage in social interaction. In this still face experiment, what the mother did was she sits down and she's playing with her baby who's about a year of age.
I'm like a girl. Oh.
And she gives a greeting to the baby gives a greeting back to her.
Yeah.
This baby starts pointing at different places in the world, and the mother's trying to engage her and play with her. They're working to coordinate their emotions and their intentions, what they want to do in the world. And that's really what the baby is used to. And then we ask the mother to not respond to the baby. The baby very quickly picks up on this, and then she uses all of her abilities to try and get the mother back. She smiles at the mother. She points because she's used to the mother looking where she points. The baby puts both hands up in front of her and says, "What's happening here?" She makes that screechy sound at the mother, like, come on, why aren't we doing this? Even in this 2 minutes, when they don't get the normal reaction, they react with negative emotions, they turn away, they feel the stress of it, they actually may lose control of their posture because of the stress that they're experiencing.
Okay. I'm here. And what are you doing? Oh, yes. Oh, what a big girl.
It's a little like the good, the bad, and the ugly.
I had to let somebody in.
The good is that normal stuff that goes on, that we all do with our kids. The bad is when something bad happens, but the infant can overcome it. After all, when you stop the still face, the mother and the baby start to play again. The ugly is when you don't give the child any chance to get back to the good. There's no reparation, and they're stuck in.
Miss Bree Love, I need you to do me a favor. At 2 o'clock, make sure we know, so that I'm transitioning. I want to make sure I leave information on the back, so I need enough time to get our strategy in. I want to give you information now, but if you could do me a favor, make sure that you let us know when 2 o'clock comes. Is that all right?
No problem.
All right, the other thing, since you're unmuted, what did you just see there?
I saw the baby's reaction when the mom wasn't paying him any attention, and it kind of back to some of the experiences that I'm having with my kids in my Google Classroom and their participation, and when we're on those live meets, and you can tell who has that parental guidance and who doesn't.
Good piece. Let me give you all one more example, see if we can get this in.
Solitary confinement has devastating effects on prisoners' mental health.
In solitary, you're kept alone for 23 hours a day, in a room the size of a king-size bed.
Well, that doesn't sound so bad. Me and Murph share a queen. Wait, where are those voices coming from? Oh no, oh gosh, I'm seeing things.
It's an archaic and cruel form of punishment that started in the 1800s.
Something to watch, I guess.
Solitary confinement was conceived by Quakers who thought prisoners would use the time to reflect and study the Bible.
You know, I've been meaning to read this.
But even they decided it was too cruel to use. The Supreme Court at the time declared,
prisoners subject to solitary confinement became violently insane. Others committed suicide.
Oof, we gotta stop doing this.
Stop.
We did stop. Solitary confinement fell out of use in the U.S. for a century. But a few decades ago, we brought it back, and it's been destroying minds ever since.
Destroying minds? I mean, that sounds a little hyperbolic.
Yeah, maybe. What do I know? I'm just a hallucination.
Hello? Adam? Is anyone here?
Humans are social animals, and a prolonged lack of social contact can cause serious and permanent brain damage. People held in solitary hallucinate, fall into depression, and lose the ability to keep track of how much time has passed.
All right, Miss Morel, is it Miss Morel? Did I say that right, Cindy Morel? I hope I'm sorry if I didn't pronounce your name right. Is it Morel or Moral? Okay.
Well, I didn't hear you because our phone was ringing. Could you repeat that, please?
Well, actually, I was going to ask your observation from this video.
It was very disturbing to me. I have a relative who was in prison and suicidal, and so they put him in solitary confinement because he was suicidal.
Yeah. Yeah. So what? And I'm sorry if I invoked any unpleasant feelings, but the reason why I show you these, the reason why I use these two extremes is one extreme, the still face experiment shows us that even as infants, we desire to have engagement from another person. We desire it. As a matter of fact, as was just noted, we even notice that we have children now, they show signs when they don't have engagement, healthy engagement at home, that attachment theory kicks in. Then the other extreme is how we use solitary to punish. The healthy piece, it lets us know as human beings, we crave, we desire engagement. In the educational realm, we can use engagement as a tool for good because the kids that we're serving, they so desperately need it, but we can use it not just to be their friends, not just to have fun with them, but to use it to inspire them to want to learn. If they come to us and we're still disconnected as maybe their family, their parents are, or we continue to perpetuate a young form of isolation, we don't use our greatest tool, and that's the ability to connect with our students.
Have I been in here?
So let's move on to the next one. Now what I want to start doing is I want to get.
Oh, I'm really losing it.
May have to get there we are. All right, so I want to start sharing with you. Has anybody, let me know in the chat if anyone has taken the time to read Visible Learning by John Hattie. But if you have not, I would recommend it as it is the gold standard for teaching strategies that have an effect on performance. I won't go into all of the detail, but it is a
solitary confinement has
do that. I won't go into all of the detail about. Looks like I lost the screen there. I won't go into all of the detail of his research, but if you have not read anything on John Hattie, let me get our screen back up here. If you haven't read anything on his research, you really want to pick up some of John Hattie's work. You want to pick up Visible Learning because it is a powerful tool to look at the strategies that truly do work in the classroom. And he's not talking about strategies that we're not talking about all strategies don't work, but he took the time to do a synthesis of over 800 meta-analysis related to achievement. So he's done the work that we so sorely couldn't do. I don't know why this thing keeps going.
Solitary confinement has devastated.
There we are. So it's a 2009 synthesis of over 800 meta-analysis relating to achievement, 150 factors, and there was called the effect size on student achievement. Now, why is this important? Is because you don't have all day to spend times on multiple different strategies. So why not find out what strategies really work and give them more attention? Would that make sense, Ms. Woods? Well, John Hattie has done the work for us. He's given us a scale of what works, what has the greatest effect. He's taken the scale from negative to low to medium to high. Let me explain this scale real quickly, since we don't have time for me to really unpack it. Anything that we do in school that only has a 0.1 or below, is either low or negative. There are some strategies that we have, and that's why I encourage you to pick up the book, that even have reverse effects, which means the longer that a child is with you, they will regress. There are some that have a low effect, and then anything from 0.2 to 0.4 is what he calls has a medium effect on achievement. In his book, he talks about 0.4 is the hinge point in which learning really starts, where if what you're doing in your classroom or in your day has at least a 0.4 effect size, the child will get at least a year's growth. And if you've been with me before, you've heard my testimony on how much I believe in the promise to give our students and their parents the almost guarantee that if you give me your kid every day, all year, on time and ready to learn, I will give you back at least a year's growth. Mr. Zyber, do you think that that's fair? That if a child is with you every day, on time, ready to learn, he should get at least or she should get at least a year's growth? How about you, Ms. Sorensen? At least a year's growth? At least a year's growth. Ms. Junior, how about you? Is that fair enough? Just a year's growth. So what John Hattie says, that there are certain strategies that will give a child at least a year's growth. Anything past 0.4 is money in the bank. You're working with house money. What really excited me about his research is look at the number that he gives the teacher-student relationship. If 0.4 is at least a year's growth, he says that 0.72 is almost 2 years growth just for you having a great relationship with the child. Ms. Boatwright, what do you think about that?
Well, with relationship, I think it makes it more. It makes it more of a better situation to have more growth, especially with the relationship.
Yeah,
That makes them more engaged.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
I said that makes them more engaged, the relationship you have with them.
That's right. That's right. And I agree with your assessment, and I've proven it. Now, Ms. Doyle, I think you and I both know that Ms. Boatwright is right. Wouldn't you agree? She's on the money. John Hattie says 0.72. I agree. I think it's more. But if we just take his 0.72, a great relationship with the kids that we're serving inspires them and motivates them to give us their best. That's all it takes, right? So these are the different strategies and the effect sizes: self-reporting grades, providing formative evaluation, acceleration, classroom behavior, comprehensive interventions for learning disabled, teacher clarity, reciprocal teaching. These are all, look at the effect sizes that are here. Teacher, I would say, and this is where I would say, you can't give a child great feedback, reciprocal teaching, teacher clarity. None of those things really work if there's not great relationships. And that's where I go back to Gary Keller about the one thing. What's the one thing I can do, and such that by doing so makes my job and learning easier? And that's engagement. That is engagement. And he's proven it for us. But here's the struggle. The problem is everyone engages. Everybody here will agree that we engage. Wouldn't you say you engage, Ms. Steele? Everybody engages, but everybody won't engage everyone. Think about that for a second. We all engage, but we don't engage everyone. And that's why I shared with you all those three groups of kids. The cream of the crop kids get all the engagement in the world because we love them. We're glad to see them. The core of the crop kids, we engage them. On the other hand, that other group of kids, they're going to struggle and they're going to forever be on the fringe unless they're engaged. If we want to bring them into the fold, engagement is the key. Or we can leave them out on the fringe and continue to engage with the core of our culture or the cream of our culture. So in the next 10 minutes, what I want to do is kind of explain to you what I've seen to be the reason why we won't engage everyone, even though everyone engages. I'm going to share with you 2 mindsets that work against us and 1 mindset that works for us. And then I'm going to share with you 1 strategy that we started last year with a handful of you all, but COVID hit. All right, so you guys okay so far? You guys still with me? You guys want to take like a 40-minute break and come back? Miss Johnson, look at you, boy. You're like, no, keep going, right, Miss Ferguson? It's on you. You unmute and tell us what you want to do. You're the head woman in charge right now. Should we take you tell us unmute?
Keep going. Keep going. Keep going.
All right, that's what we gonna do. All right. Your engagement, what I call your engagement, but is any mindset that prevents you from engaging all kids in their families. And what I'm going to try to do, convince you in these next couple of moments, is to get your butt out the way. I need to help you get your butt out the way because there are kids who need to be engaged, and we know from the research that engagement is the one thing that you do not have to spend 1 more dime on. You don't have to spend 1 more dime. You don't have to go on your budget and spend another dime. You don't have to roll out no extra curriculum. You don't have to buy any more computers. You don't have to do anything else. We just have to have a mindset of understanding the science, that engagement is the thing that changes everything. It's the game changer. And I'm not talking about the cutesy stuff. How you doing, Brad? How you doing, Cindy? That's a good form of engagement, but I'm talking about authentic engagement that demonstrates to that young person that somebody in this building cares for me. It's what I call a compassionate accountability. I'm going to be compassionate, but I'm going to hold you accountable. And I've been in your building enough to know that a lot of you guys do this naturally. But what the goal is, and what Mr. Williams wants me to do, is to help you take it from individual engagement to institutional engagement. So my goal is to help you get your butts out the way, but I'm going to show you some mindsets that struggle with it, that struggle with engaging. And so I'm rushing through some of this. Somebody just slow me down because I got to get to 2 o'clock real quick before my hall monitor tells me it's time. All right, so this first one right here, this first mindset is what I call competence-driven engagement mindset. It's all about intellectual inheritance. These are the folk who believe that they still hold on to some of those archaic beliefs that there are some folk, some young people who were born with intelligence and there's nothing I can do about it. So they say, I engage all students, but nature or nurture determines students' learning. It has nothing to do with me. It was pre-wired. There's nothing that an educator can do about the learning ability of a child. It's got nothing to do with me. Intelligence is fixed. It's pre-wired. I know some folk are saying that's not true, but trust me, there are still educators in our profession who believe that that pre-wiring and fixed mindsets exist. Right? Let me see if I can grab a book right quick. I need you all to get this if you haven't. Come on now. If you haven't read this book, you need to grab it. Carol S. DeWeck. It's called Mindset. Has anybody heard of it? If you haven't heard of it, please pick it up. It's a real easy read, but what she talks about is the science behind a fixed mindset and a growth mindset. And we still
have a couple of copies, Dr. J. And in case any staff want to, you know, but they got to return it because these are my books, not NHA. So I got a couple copies that I can lend out to anybody. It is a must read.
Yeah, Doc.
I have a copy as well. I actually read that book.
So now who was that?
It was Miss Abbott. It's now Mrs. Hunt.
Okay, well, congratulations. That sounds like something happened since last time I saw you.
Thank you.
All right.
But it is a good book, really good book.
Yes. And at some point, I mean, this should be almost a faculty book read. But I would say that it's important to understand this because there are those amongst us who believed in this fixed mindset and that the kids come to us pre-wired. And because of that, it's going to be hard for this individual to push forward to engage for the purposes of motivating kids to do their best because they believe that, hey, this thing was preordained before I got here. Not a whole lot I can do with it. This teacher or this individual set high expectations, but they really don't believe that all kids can achieve them. They'll set them. They'll follow procedure. You'll see the high expectations in all their documentation. You'll see high expectations in their room, but you don't see them really following through with the expectations that everybody in that room can achieve. This mindset is amongst us, and they will slow down a culture that wants to be an engaging culture, right? You've got those amongst us who still support zero tolerance and strict discipline because they believe that, hey, I mean, if you were going to be okay, you would. Something's wrong with you. Nothing I can do about it. They don't necessarily embrace cultural competency because, once again, it's fixed. The intelligence is fixed. Me understanding cultural competency, me understanding the culture of a kid and how it affects their learning is not going to change a thing. Right? This mindset is there. They believe in engagement, but they believe they have very little time to foster relationships with families, particularly those families who aren't of those families who they believe are the smart kids, if you will, right? Why foster relationship with the parents? It is what it is, right? That's one mindset. What I talk about is the north to south process. You all have seen me talk about this. You bloom before you Maslow. It's all about, I start with the brain and you work yourself down. But those people who start with the brain, they very rarely move themselves down to the psychological needs of a child, right? I'm coming to the close. So I got it. 2 o'clock's coming. All right. My question is this your butt? Is it getting in the way of you engaging kids? You don't have to answer that out loud. Answer it to yourself. My next one is culture-driven engagement. Oh my goodness. I see this everywhere. These are those amongst us who say, I engage all students, but students must meet my classroom behavioral standards, right? And I'm not saying they shouldn't. I engage all students, but students must obey all school rules. Students must speak an acceptable or comfortable dialect. Acceptable and comfortable to whom? If this kid doesn't dress the way I want him to dress, speak the way I want him to speak, look the way I want him to speak, I'm not comfortable engaging. And when you're that way, you're going to leave a powerful tool on the table. You're great at math, you're great at English, you're great at science, you're great in your space, you're great everywhere in your content, but the human side of you won't allow you to engage because there's a disconnect there. And you say to yourself, until this kid gets to where I want him to go, I'm not engaging. Students have to dress. Think about what we hear every year about, if I have to hear about one more kid who cannot or whose graduation is threatened because his or her hairstyle does not meet the dominant culture's view. a culture-driven engagement says this kid must meet my cultural paradigm in order for me really to come across their line and engage them. And the goal is to meet them where they are so that they will be motivated to walk with you to where you want them to be. Does that kind of make sense, Ms. Curtin? And anybody stop me at any time if you have any questions. Mr. Atkins, if you have any questions, Ms. Henry, if you have any questions, stop me at any time because I'm kind of rushing through some of these things, but I don't want you to feel uncomfortable as if I'm pushing any concepts down your throat. But the science is there. We have to be able to engage these kids if we want them to do or to step outside of their belief system that pretty much says that what am I going to do with education? Right? Particularly with the young folk that we're working with. I'm going to skip past a couple because I want to end on this coach-driven engagement. This is the one that says, I'm going to engage all students, period. The coach says, or a coach is a competent and licensed instructor. It's most coaches or those of you who have this coach mindset, you're seen by your students as a mentor and sometimes a parent. They call you, hi mom. You got many of you all have been called mom by your parent, by your students. They come to you and talk to you about all kinds of things. Coaches have that mindset, but a coach is compassionate, but they also are going to hold you accountable. A coach has
it's 2:00 now.
All right, thank you. I knew it, so let me swing, get past this real quick. A coach has flexible grading practices. A coach has multiple non-traditional behavioral interventions. A coach has non-traditional relationships with families. We talked about that last time we were together, right? So I won't spend time on that. But a coach's mindset can come outside of this teacher paradigm, and they set and believe in high expectations for some of their students. No, all of them, right? They know and respect the student culture, and they start at the psychological and move their way up. So what I'm going to do right here and start jumping into some now of a practice. Mr. Williams and his leadership team, we all met with a couple of teachers. What grades were those, Aaron, Mr. Williams, that we met with before the pandemic last year? You still with us?
That was 3rd grade.
All right, perfect. So those of you who are 3rd grade, we met and we talked about a strategy. And I'm going to unpack it even more today. And I'm going to share with you how we're using it at other districts, and we've got some great feedback. So, but I want to give you this important note that building an engagement culture, not an individual who engages, but building an engagement culture is too important for the mental health and performance of students. And it's not realistic to expect everyone to naturally possess this mindset. And that's why it has to become institutionalized, because everybody just doesn't naturally engage. Doesn't make them bad. It's not a natural process for them. So it has to be embedded in the culture of the institution, in the culture of the classroom. So I'm going to show you a strategy. I'm going to share with you 7, but we're not going to go through them all just because of time. You guys know how I love 7. All right. The first one is to create a competition-driven engagement culture. The second one is certifying your parents as partners, what we've been working to do for the last couple of years. And it probably have made it easier for them to transition into this online life. Build community partnerships, something that you guys have been doing very, very faithfully. Practice project-based learning. Build student leadership opportunities. That's what we've been doing, and we'll be doing again this year with Future Man Success Prep. Getting healthy men in your building. And then 7, saving your boys. I can't wait till we have time to unpack that. And there's a reason why. I hope you guys don't feel that I'm saying that just because this is a male thing. But across the country, boys are taking on the chin. If I looked at your expulsion data, if I looked at your punitive data, if I looked at your classroom data on who gets sent out, I guarantee you it would lean towards your boys receive harsher punishments than anyone else. That's a different strategy, but we only have time to concentrate on one today. Another warning. This strategy I'm about to share with you and none of those other 7 work for any other mindset other than the coach's mindset. A competence mindset only wants to work with kids who they deem are intelligent. A culture mindset says, as long as you fit my cultural parameters, I'll engage you. But the coach mindset says, I'm going to hold everybody accountable with compassion. And I believe you all can do it, right? All right, so the first strategy is the only one that we'll have time. The first power move strategy is building a classroom and a culture that's built on competition. I'm pausing right there because there's still a lot of us who are frightened by competition. And it amazes me on how many teachers I get emails from. We've rolled this out in several districts, how many teachers I get emails from talking about their fear of competition. And there is a good reason to be concerned about competition. But my response is in several ways. One is, what are we preparing kids for? The real world is competitive, is it not? Our young people have to have the mindset to be competitive. Who was that earlier mentioned that our kids have, they're poor at naturally solving problems? Who was that?
That was Mariah.
Yeah, so just as our kids have to have critically thinking skills, our kids have to be able to compete. And what better way to teach them the benefits and see how they respond to competition than while learning, so we can help them develop the abilities to handle competition, because they're going nowhere in life if they can't critically think and if they can't handle competition. But I'm not talking about competition that is demeaning or that is unhealthy. This is unhealthy competition.
I argue against, really against that notion, because our kids are wired with a competitive nature. Whether they're playing video games, whether they're playing of dozens, baking, frying, cooking, or whatever term they use. We called it playing of dozens, but those are all competitions. They have dance competitions. They have they play each other online on Xbox games and all those types of things. So they've got that competitive spirit embedded in them anyway. And so for us to say, or to look at it and say it's not competitive, they like to argue. They like to argue one another to prove one another's point correctly. So why not take that, transition that into a more debate format, and now we can create a junior debate team. So the spirit of competition is there. We just have to cultivate it.
That's right. That's it. Well said. As a matter of fact, the next email I get from someone on the instructional team, I'm forwarding it to you. Because I get them now. The leadership loves it. The program, the outcomes are phenomenal, which if I have time, I'll share with you, but it works. Right now, districts are more comfortable with collaborative teams, which is great. But what you're about to see is how we can combine both of them, right? As long as we do it in a healthy way, where kids can
and our teachers. And I think the resistance and the hesitance and maybe the anxiety behind teachers is because teachers just don't want to lose.
I love it.
And that's the biggest fear of competition. But my thing is, I'm not going to lose.
There we go.
So, you know, I don't care if we're coming off an airplane and we make a bet, hey, whose luggage is coming out first? I feel like mine is coming out first. So, you know, I think if you go into competitions with a mindset of I'm going to lose, you probably shouldn't be competing anyway.
That's right.
You know, there's not a football team other than other than the one here in Detroit, you know, my hometown.
Yeah.
Who walks into a football game with a mindset of we're probably not going to win this one, although we'll have the lead. In the fourth quarter, we're going to figure out how we're going to lose this thing. So, but even the Lions go in, and it's different every week. They go to compete. They go to win. It just doesn't happen for them.
That's right. That's right. Well, I mean, what I'm getting ready to share with you all, and if there's anyone afterwards who has any questions, I'm okay with it. I've been rolling out competition-driven engagement for the last 2 years, and the results are phenomenal. They are phenomenal. If you all are looking at increasing your attendance online, even if it's already great, if you want to get those fringe students showing up for class, watch what we do here. So let's look at how this works. Come on now, clicker wants to move. All right. So the previous definition is not the one that coaches embrace. As we just talked about, researchers have proven that competition in the appropriate context enhances engagement. It's another bridge to take you into the lives of kids so that they see you as an ally. It's another bridge so that those who aren't comfortable with engagement, this will help you so you don't have to manufacture engagement. It's part of the culture, and everybody just embraces it. You don't have to think of it on your own. It's part of what you're doing. And it gives kids a motivation. It enhances and brings out that motivation that they already have that's dormant. Healthy competition also increases self-esteem. Healthy competition, even amongst the weaker students. And I cite this research down here as well as the research that I've experienced myself. Fulu proved it in 2007 in his work, Enhancing Learning Through Competitions. Chung did it in 2008 once again, Learning Through Competition. He calls it CBL. And they set competition on steroids in school. Learning competition in the classroom. So let me share with you how it's set up. So right now, everybody should have, did you email those sheets to them, or do they have copies of those sheets?
Yeah, I sent those out to them. Okay.
If you guys can get a hold of those sheets, I'm going to share it on my screen anyway. So don't worry about as a matter of fact, don't worry about trying to find that sheet. I'll put it up on my screen so that everybody can see the same form. So what we do know about healthy competition is that it has to have certain criteria so that even the least of these in your classrooms can feel empowered, they can feel engaged, and they can feel valued. And those who are even right now might have an aversion to competition, you'll see how this form of competition is not the same that always picks a winner and a loser. The first thing we do is we set up personal goals for each and every student. Goals that are SMART goals, right? That they're achievable, they're reasonable, and they're time sensitive, right? And they're personal goals. So every student will have 2 goals. They will have their personal goal, which only they know and you know as their teacher. Nobody else knows that goal. And then what we do, well, so let me walk you through it. Secondly, the competition in the classroom has to be relatively short. It can't be long so that there's anxiety. It can't be long so people have a desire to want to manufacture things. But it has to be long enough to motivate and engage, but and not so long that the prize looms. And the prize can't be so large that it creates conflict. This second piece is very key. It can't be about big prizes, and it can't be about anything that would create conflict. And that's why you don't pit students against another individually. Thirdly, team competition is encouraged so that people can benefit from the strength of the individual parts. The whole can benefit from it. So it's not like having a James Harden who gets all the interviews. It's not like a LeBron James who gets all the interviews. Everybody on the team is asked to contribute, and the team wins. So thirdly, the team competition is encouraged much more than individual competition to build lasting collaboration, the benefits of collaboration, right? Lastly, the reward of the winning competition is symbolic rather than material. Now, you can change it around if you like, but it's got to be more. You still can give out certificates, you still can give out things, but it's got to be more symbolic than anything else. And it has little significance beyond the satisfaction of coming in first. Creating it like this is safe competition, but you still get all the benefits because this competition is not competitive. It's not combative, it's competitive because you focus on the process and not the end result. So what I want to do is show you the form that we'll use. Let me stop sharing here. We've got about 10 minutes left, and then I want to end it with some questions if there are any. Let's see if I can, here we are. All right, this is the form that you all have. Can I get some thumbs up? Let me know that everybody can see this. All right, perfect, perfect. All right, so let me explain this form. So the way this works is Miss Annabelle, her name would go here. Which grade did you choose? Which grade do you teach? 4th grade. Perfect. I love it. I chose the right person. As Ray Charles would say, I got the right one, baby. All right. So your name would go here. We would choose when the start goal is, when the end goal is. If you see here, it's only a month. That's as long as you want the goal to be at the max. You can make it shorter, but you don't want this to be a long goal. You don't want it to be a semester-long goal. You want it to be in short spurts. It's almost like losing weight. You want to lose weight in short spurts, a pound here, a pound there, and you measure it in increments so that you can begin to appreciate the process of winning. Your ultimate goal may be 10 pounds, but you measure it at 1 pound at a time, right? So let's just say what you want to concentrate on, Miss Annabelle, is you want your class to concentrate on their math scores. So what you'll do is each student, you're going, prior to this form, there's an individual form I'll send. This is your collective goal, but prior to this form, you would have met with your students individual. Say, let's just say that Mr. Chapman is one of the students in your class and his current score in math is a 65. We know Mr. Chapman would never get a 65, but let's just say that's his current score. You and him are talking, and the two of you are talking about what his next score on his next test is, what his goal is for his next score. And you set that goal based on what you know he can achieve and a goal that motivates him to strive for. So on that form, his goal would be, what would you say your goal would be, Mr. Chapman? You want to go from 65 to what? You want NWE, there we go. So you tied into the NWEA goals. So you've already got targets for him. So that's perfect, perfect. So you've got targets for him. So that would be his goal. And you would do that for each one of your students individually. Those individual points would become your aggregate goal. So your aggregate class goal in math would go right here. So not the only one that everybody in the class would see would be what, Miss Annabelle? What goal would everybody in the class see? They would see
aggregate goal.
That's right. So they that's right. No, only the individual students. Mr. Graves, how you doing there, sir? Good. All right. So they would, every individual would see their goals, but what would be posted somewhere in the class, somewhere in the hallway, somewhere in your classroom doors, that goal would be everywhere. That's your aggregate goal. And then, so you know your dream team needs to score at least 20 points or more, right? Then you would use this form, and you probably have something. If you don't, it looks like you may have something like this already. So all we're doing is taking these numbers and utilizing it in a form where now we give it points, and you come up with strategies to achieve those points in the aggregate and individually. But more importantly, what you do is you're going to now create a contest behind it where the class now is reaching or going after achieving the 85 points, the aggregate goal. That is the goal that gets celebrated. But individually, you're going to celebrate with the students who achieve their individual goals. My question would be, how far away is your goal for your NWEA testing? How far is it?
Winter, so January, February, right?
Right. So what I would do is, what I would encourage you to do is to have something that is a smaller, to take this down in bite sizes. And so this right here, the goal that you have now would be everybody's long-term goal, but this form right here would be the bite-sized goals. This would be that 1 pound. The 10 pounds are out there in January, February, but this would be the 1 pound.
And it's easier to measure that by using our Ames web data, because we, you know, when we progress monitor, those goals are really set at each grade level anyway. And so, you know, those words per minute, it's easier to measure those in the small windows because we're progress monitoring weekly anyway. So that could be the 30-day window.
So your progress monitoring, the information is already in Ames Web. So now basically what we need to do is collectively in the culture, what they call in the game world, gamify this. We've got to turn this into a game, these weekly goals into a game. And at the end, make sure that it's celebrated some kind of way, not all the way to the end in January, but somewhere in November, somewhere in December, it's celebrated. And when you really get fancy on this, you begin to take 1 4th grade class will compete against another 4th grade class in the aggregate. And the celebration starts from there. And you're just celebrating the entire class's goals. And when we met, last we met with the team, that 3rd grade was fired up. I mean, you almost had to calm them down. That was a super competitive team. So it's just
Doc, right. Doc, we got a K2 team that really already started this, and they actually graphed their competition around this. I don't know if Shorty want to speak to that, but they were doing that before we even started talking about this type of a competition. I mean, they were sending emails back and forth about who's going to top who this week. So I don't know if any of our kindergarten, 1st grade or 2nd grade teachers want to jump in on this, but K2 had a really good competition, really healthy competition going on last year.
We did a K2 competition. Unfortunately, it stopped in March. But this year, once we get all of our babies back in, we're definitely going to continue that.
Tell us for the benefit of the whole, what type of observations came out of you all doing it that way?
Well, I think the teachers were really engaged in wanting, and they hyped it up in their classroom. So once the teacher hyped it up, then the students became excited about it. So their engagement was, at the very top.
Perfect. So what we were experiencing in other districts, you're experiencing there. Only thing we're talking about now is embedding this in such a way that it becomes a part of the culture of the school, so that across all grade levels, the competition is going on. I mean, you guys don't want to keep it to yourselves in K through 2, do you?
No, we want to share it.
Right. So the way you create, the way you transform the culture is to do it across all grade levels, and you do it in such a way that it's connected and everybody can benefit from the mindset. And the other thing will happen is it will transform the instructional team also. Watch the coach's mindset begin to become more prevalent when you start having competitions like this around academics. All right, watch how many coaches' mindsets come to the forefront. Does that make sense to everybody? Give me a hoorah. Give me a say that in the chat. Give me a thumbs up. If everybody understands that, give me a thumbs up. We do this across all classrooms, not just K2, but pick it up in 3rd grade, 4th grade, across the board. And that's how you transform the culture. And that's just one of the power moves. You add that to what we're doing with parents. You add that to what we're doing with Future Man Success Prep. Those are the types of things that holistically transform the culture. And you just don't see engagement in pockets, but you see it across all grade levels. You guys with me? All right, so I wanted to make sure that I closed it out or left some room on the back end, and we could have some conversation or questions, or for Mr. Williams, for you to talk about next steps. We've got a little time. We've got about 5 minutes left. Any questions about either what your K2 team is doing, how you can implement it at your grade level, or Mr. Williams, what you believe is the next step?
We'll dedicate a few minutes here. If they've got any questions or comments or anything around it, I'll kind of defer to the team right now, or just kind of minimize, because if they've got some lingering questions, I'd like them to get those out. I can table next steps.
Okay. No questions about it? All right, well, if not, the next time that you all will see me is with the next steps, or when we start working with your young men, one of the two. When do the students start? You started some transitioning back into school, right?
Yeah, this is our first week. We completed our first 3 days of hybrid on Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday.
Okay. Everything went okay?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we had a few situations that we jumped right on, just in terms of some kids, with symptoms, with potential symptoms, but nothing valid, just some precautionary measures that we took, and it was good practice for us.
All right. Well, hey guys, if there are no questions for me, I will end as I always do. My name is Coach Carlos. That's my research. And guess what, Ms. Henry? I'm sticking to it.
Thank you, sir. And then I'll follow back up with you all. I'll give you all an opportunity just to process this, and then once in one of our follow up meetings, we'll kind of roll this back out to talk through next steps. concerning this. But please do me a huge favor, because I emailed this to everyone. So just kind of look at this document, mark it up if you want to, just with your ideas of what this should look like. And we really could do this in grade level meetings on Monday, when you all have some time to kind of collaborate, because I really want you all to kind of agree around the rules of engagement of this competition and have something for us. This is not something that I want the leadership team to kind of roll out for you. This is something I want you all to kind of talk through and then bring it to us, because you're the leaders, you're the ones in the trenches. We could tweak it, but I don't want us to create something for you to do. And again, I don't want this to be, okay, here's something new that we're doing. No, this is what we're already doing, because we're already progress monitoring. So this is not an add-on. So let's just take it and get as competitive as that K2 team sending emails back and forth. We're gonna get you all next week. We're gonna pass you up on the on the graph, and let's go from there. Because if we compete, our kids will grow. Yeah. They really will. And so really, we're all gonna come out winners in this. Certainly want to thank Coach Carlos for always doing a phenomenal job in terms of giving us practical things to be able to do as opposed to theory. We forget about theory. We remember practical things because we can implement them. He's a champion of Burton Glen. And so you're going to see him as we roll out our future men's piece with these boys, because he's absolutely right. Boys make up at least 95% of discipline data. And so we've got to change that dynamic, and we got to point them in a different direction. So thanks, Coach Carlos, for always for an engaging session. Staff, it's time for you all to get out of here. Great day of attentive, engaging learning. Give yourself an opportunity to process everything that we went through today. Great piece for 3-5 bridges. I jumped in with Tressie and Doyle on that Google Classroom. You all are going to have to do that again, because the 3-5 team missed that, and I think there's some real benefit in that for them. And just a great day of learning. Shout out to Mr. Smith opening up with our safety training this morning. And, shout out to me for that COVID piece. So I'm going to email you all that actual PowerPoint that Smith and I went through today, so you to have at your fingertips any event that anything comes up related to safety. And just have a great weekend, you all. Well deserved weekend. So I give everybody 2 days off. All right.
Great job to Mark Fuyama as well, Principal Williams.
Oh yes. Thank you. Thanks, Ms. Dillard. Snack Cart Suyama, phenomenal job with Glint, with the employee engagement information. Actually, Emily was on our call, Mrs. Suyama, and she said she wished you could do something like that with all NHA schools, because there's just a lot of people who just don't have clarity about the questions. So that was a huge compliment. So she raved about it. She asked me if I recorded it. I recorded it, but I started the recording late. So I think I missed Mark's piece there, but that's just a phenomenal team that we have here, and all of the expertise. So you all enjoy your weekend. Hey, listen, on Monday, I'm not leaning towards Monday would be wing meetings, but we've met so much, we've done so much, so I'll get a consensus from your deans for us just to let's take a breather on Monday. Let's take that's a V day. So I want you all to kind of have a brain break on Monday. So I'm not really, I want to make sure we got our three, that we get into the rhythm of having our 3 30-minute segments on Monday so that kids can get into that rhythm. But that's a full virtual day for everyone. But I don't want you taking that whole day on Monday teaching. whether it's asynchronous or synchronous. So really start to plan for those three, having that morning meeting, making sure that kids know what the expectations are, and then you breaking away from it, okay? Those once you really start to plan those, you're gonna realize how those can become some mental help for you. So you really want any deans, got anything you want to throw in before we get off here? Staff.
Oh, that is a survey about the PD today. That way you can get your.
Yes, excellent. Glance survey starts Monday. When you complete your glance survey, you got Gene days from the time the window opens to the end. The window opens on the 12th, so essentially you got 2 weeks because it ends on the 23rd, I believe. So you got 2 weeks to wear your jeans, to have your Gene days. Okay, we need your feedback. One last piece, please. When you're on, and this is for my virtual teachers, as well as teaching remote kids at home, when they're at home on their Chromebooks, do not accept things from kids at home that you wouldn't accept in their classrooms, in your classrooms. I've been on some, on your Google Meets. I've got kids laying down. I got kids, and I hate to do it, but a few times, well, more than a few times, I've had to jump in and address the classes, okay? I don't want to have to do that. I want you to do that. You're not getting on, and all of your students are on. You're my students right now. I'm the teacher. Yeah, turn the, yeah, you're not doing that. And so I explained to kids, it's not fair to the teacher that you're doing that. You don't lay down. When we're on, it's school. So I need you sitting up like you're sitting at a desk, and the kids start repositioning themselves and that sort of thing. But I want our teachers, don't accept that, because the culture that's created in virtual learning is because either you've created that culture or you've accepted that culture. So if you start to accept kids laying down, when you look up, your whole class is going to be laying down. And so you might as well have a Motel 6 going, because everybody's going to be laying down. Nobody's going to be paying attention. And that's the reality of it. I'm being a bit facetious, but the reality is I see Mark doing it on this call. The next call, I'm joining Mark. The next call, Jamie's joining us. Then Jerry's joining us. So we got, and then if you correct someone day 4, I'm gonna say, well, Mark was doing it first. You didn't say anything. So we want to make sure that and that was a part of me talking through revisiting our Google Classroom expectations. Spraggy gave us a phenomenal tool, and guess what? If you have to use that every day, use it every day. Do what you can with parents, but don't overexert yourself with parents. Get myself and get the deans involved with the parents, and we're going to support you, because we want your teaching, the phenomenal teaching that you plan for and that you attempt to deliver. We want it to be received. Okay, that's it. Any other, not just deans, any other announcements from staff before we sign off? It's go time, ladies and gentlemen. And what I mean is not go time to start, it's time to go home. Tom, what you got?
Mr. Cross and Mrs. Lisa Code.
Yeah. Enjoy your weekends, LaFave. We got to get together Monday. We got to get together Monday, LaFave, so we can map this thing out.
And a big thank you to Mr. Carlos.
Another birthday.
Hey, you do that, Mr. King.
All right. Have a good weekend, y'all.
All right, bye-bye now.